Hello. Think I'm up and running? Hello. All right. I guess I got audio working. Real Phoenix. Rails, how's it going? I just realized I still have color correction for the white box I was just using. That looks kind of silly. That looks a little better. All right. I am doing great. I have been wanting to do this stream for a while, but I've been trying to catch up with my very long backlog of stuff that I've been missing. And this one's more of a selfish stream than anything else, although I do want to highlight a very cheap and awesome product for people. This is the Atlantis kit for MiSTer. It's essentially just a PCB that's MiniITX form factor. Come on, focus GH5. Hello, come on. I don't know what the heck. Come on, damn autofocus. There we go. So you mount the DE10 there, and then you could stick this inside a MiniITX case, and they have tons of other options for it depending how far you want to go. So if you're like, hey, I want to use the DE10, but I don't want to spend a lot of money on a kit. I don't have the cash right now, but I already have an old computer case laying around. $14, right? So perfect. I love stuff like this. And they have tons of things that you could add to it, you know, different power supplies, different breakouts. So you could get a fully loaded one. This could end up being a good expensive kit. However, that's just the starter for cheap. See who else is. What's up, Kawaka? Durf, how's it going? The other thing I wanted to do is very, very, very selfishly show these. These are boards I made when I used to work for that company that did medical grade computers. We used to make all-in-one computers, and this is long before the iPad, so that was actually something to brag about back then, whereas now it's like just use a tablet. There were no tablets back then, they didn't exist. So we were in a meeting one time with a customer, a very large customer, who said our all-in-one computers would be great for a couple of their setups. However, they really just needed a small computer that was medical certified. And I'm sitting in that meeting and I'm listening to what they're asking for. And I was like, well, we already have that. We never showed it to you because we didn't think it's something that you were interested in because you were only talking about all-in-ones. But, if you want, I could pick up a prototype. We could have it, in any special colors. And just the next meeting, I'll bring it with us. And my boss, who was a very smart guy, owned a whole bunch of different companies over the years, was like mildly famous in the 80s for modem stuff. He just kind of went along with it. And we got in the car to drive away, and he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? We don't have a small form factor. And I'm like, I think we do, though. And he was like, what do you mean? So I, based on only inventory we already had on our shelves in our warehouse, designed this case around it with the mechanical engineer guy I used to work with, Axel, who was awesome. I'm sad I lost touch with that guy, but he was the one that actually did the real work. But it was the placement of the components, the placement of the fan, how the motherboard attaches, which I'll show that in a bit. The fact that you could fit a full-sized, not a double-stacked video card, but a full-size PCI Express card in here, and then just have a ribbon cable. These things had cable card tuners in them. And I essentially used our medical certified parts to design this like on the spot. And we did a small run of prototype production, and then that second economic crash hit and the company got bought out and this was thrown to the wayside. But this was essentially my project and my design, and it was we didn't pay for it because the company dipped out by that time, but it would have been medical certified because it passed all the tests. It used some pretty cool hardware for the time. And we even had these screws on the side so you could mount them upside down. So for thermals, anybody that's ever done airflow and thermal designing something that could run upside down, as well as on a desk or any other orientation, basically not upside down covering the intake, that was pretty tricky. So this was one of my claim to fame, really proud that I accomplished type of things. And then after I think these might be the only 2 prototypes that survived. They're powder coated and everything, and they're metal, which is part of the EMI certification. But afterwards, I had Axel cut the back I/O shield off so that I could put a slightly different motherboard in, and I ended up using these to run MAME and software emulation setups for Cousin Scott and I. I forgot which had which, but there was we had like arcade VGA cards or an ATI card in these. And then this one had a slightly upgraded motherboard with the HDMI output. So I don't want to touch this one because it has all the ports cut out for it. I think I'm going to use this one. And we're just going to go from there. I would like to see what's on all of these though, because I haven't booted them in years. And I vaguely remember doing something to one of them. I don't know what I did, whether it was erase it to play a different type of game, or I don't really know. But let me check the chat after that long story. Anything, all right. Well, I will keep repeatedly checking the chat here just to make sure we got everything. So let's, this is the one with all the ports still molded on. Let's plug this sucker in and see what's on it. Did I not plug in the other side of this thing? Oh, there we go. I guess I'll bring the camera over a little closer so it's easier to see this stuff. All right, we got beeps. I don't know why. Probably battery. Gotta change the input on this thing. My first OS was BASIC on a TRS-80 Color Computer 2, and the next I got was MS-DOS 2.11.24 for a Tandy 1000. All right, so I see AM2R and I see the Catalyst Control Center pop up. So that's probably popped up because the arcade VGA used to be in here. Let's see what else we got on the hard drive. So this must have been the one that I just redid only to play AM2R in 240p, which makes sense. I definitely would do something like that. This is a Core 2 Duo T7300, so we're talking almost 20 years old now, with 2 gigs of RAM. I was actually really hoping to use this for something, anything, just to run a low-powered NAS, or, but it's too old for Unraid. Unraid won't even boot on it, and it would be way too slow to run absolutely anything. So if anybody has any ideas for this, if I ever got rich, what I would love to do is pay one of my friends to make a MiSTer I/O board that exactly matches the I/O of this, so the back would look right. But yeah, that's it. Let's see if there's anything else I could have on this. I know Device Manager is probably not coming out well. Let's see if I could drop the ISO. See if that's any better. I'll turn it back up. All right. So integrated Intel 965 graphics, so terrible. A 250 gigabyte Samsung 860 EVO. So that definitely didn't exist when I made this. So that must have been back in New York City. I must have found this, taken it all apart, and added a hard drive to it. So yeah, that's pretty neat. Just got standard built-in Intel audio. So this one will go back on the shelf for now. Let me power this down, and we'll power on the other one. Hey, what's up, Chris? Hey, this is your monitor. Thanks again to Chris Deo for giving me this. My dumbass put a giant scratch in it. I was lifting very heavy things around the office down here, and it was a big metal rack, and I turned it sideways and I felt a little bit of tension. Well, what's that? And the end just scraped across this. So it still works, but I felt like a total ass. That was a very cool gift. It's got a whole bunch of ports. It's been great for these streams because it's 1080p. So when I need to do screen sharing, I use that. But yeah, so if I ever get extra cash, or if a MiSTer dev is really bored, I would love to have one of these IO or one of the MiniITX cases made that matches this exactly. That way I could just drop it in, everything kind of fits in place. It doesn't have to be the same ports, just have it so that they stick out. So even if whatever we need here is only, you know, half the size, that's fine. I'll just put a piece of tape on the inside or something. But yeah, that was pretty cool and definitely a blast from the past. Really neat to see that. I'm gonna leave this here just for show. Now let's power up this one, and this is the one that I hacked with my friend to fit all of these others. That other motherboard and that I/O shield, and because it's already cut, I have a feeling this is going to be a little easier to fit stuff in here. So let's give this a try and see what's on here, and then I'll open it up and gut it. I will turn the ISO back down so you can see the screen. All right, F1 to run setup. So this has a ton of interference in the analog output, which always kind of cracked me up. However, it does support HDMI. So we're just going to save it and then switch over to the HDMI port. Actually, I'm going to plug that in first. And let's see. No, nothing. We should. Interesting. Oh, we got something. Yeah, here we go. Think? Yeah, all right. What Windows boot for this one? I'll check the chat. Could be a masochist to put Windows 98 on it for DOS games. Yeah, I mean, that would certainly work. There are MiniITX where you can completely remove the back. Yeah, but it's not my case. Oh, and 3D print the layout. Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting, yeah. All right. So this must have been another AM2R on here. This must have been another experiment because one of these had a full arcade setup on it that I designed. I spent way too much time working on. So I must have erased this one too. Intel Core 2 Duo P8400, 2.26 gig at 2 gigs of RAM. 3 days till automatic. Oh, I lost activation because the clock went back to 2002. Gotcha. Well, not a big deal. And let's see what else we have. Sounds like a mechanical hard drive, and it's taken forever for the device manager to load. Intel 45 Express chipset. Yes, a spinning hard drive, which is why it's so slow. Interesting. Well, time to power this one down for the last time. Although I really don't, it's obvious I didn't use this for too much because all the arcade stuff's gone. And let me get that up here. Hey Pask, nope, I didn't mod this one at all. I think part of the reason why I didn't feel the need to mod this one is just simply because the other one that I used was so bad. Like, so unbelievably holy crap bad that when I got this one, it was just light years better right from the start. And I was like, all right, fine. So I should probably take a look at that. And I should also probably do a better job cleaning it. But it's not dirty, but it's not really clean either. So the for my screws. By the way, I'm rocking a Macho Nacho hoodie today. I don't just pimp my own merch, I pimp everybody else's because I actually like it. So it's kind of hard to slide the case off, and this was very intentional because oh wait, that's right, I gotta remove that too. Because the top case touches the bottom case across the entire lip in order to act as shielding and grounding. Smasher Josh, you're gonna wanna look into something called 3-2 pull down and kind of see how that works. I showed that off a little bit in the RetroTink 4K intro video I did, just as an example of some of the stuff it could do, but it's kind of confusing. But it basically comes down to matching frame rates to the video signals of the region that you live in, or the power signals of the region you live in, but kind of a long discussion. So this was my only complaint about these. In order to make them the way we had to make them, it was very snug to get the case off. I'll show that in a second. So the insides of these were all metal to metal and that were not powder coated so that it could act as grounding and shielding for the whole thing. We used thermal take fans for these, which at the time I had tested so many and these were just better. I have no idea, and I'm positive these are rebranded, but these are, I mean, this looks like manufactured here 2008, but at the very least at the time, even if they were rebrands, they were quality controlling them really well, so they were quieter and provided quite a bit of airflow. On the inside, we have that custom module with a power button, which I hope to repurpose for the OSD button, and a USB port, which thanks to the Atlantis team, I might be able to reuse that as well. So let's see. I actually tried really hard to find a MiniITX board that had the CPU about in the same place to sit under the fan, that only used a 4-pin power supply, so I could use this current one, that I could put a card in to use this as a NAS and just have my hard drives on an external enclosure and just swap out the board. But the only ones I found that might be powerful enough to do what I need that had the correct layout were like $600. And at that point, I don't want to spend $600 just to use a metal case from something I designed. But maybe someday I'll figure out another way. Also not sure if I'm going to need the power from this anymore, so I'm going to take that out too. And some of this stuff was hand built in-house just to be able to get these prototypes out and running. So you'll notice a very bad bodge here. Come on, autofocus, what are you doing? There we go. That was some pretty hacky soldering, just because it's like, get the prototype to work. All right, wait, let's bridge these two together to make sure grounds stick together and stuff like that. But it worked. An absolute blast from the past seeing this thing, too. Hey, the great John Zini, what's up? You found one? The Real Phoenix, please send me a link, because I would love to see that. Because even if I decide to take the MiSTer out of this one, I still, yeah, I could still use it for something else. But that's pretty neat. Also, about the whole 3.2 pull down thing, what else is kind of funny is a lot of TV shows that were always meant to only be TV shows, to never be in the theater, to never be shown in 24 frames per second, were shot in 24 frames per second. So you could take those and use reverse 3.2 pull down to either send it to 120 hertz, 72 hertz, 96 hertz, whatever, and watch older TV shows without judder. It's pretty interesting. That's, I mean, as much as the TINC 4K is, you know, the best gaming scaler ever made, I use it a lot for stuff like that. And yes, I know stuff like that already exists, but I mean, do you want to spend $7,000 on a Lumagen scaler? It's the only reason I kind of laugh when people talk about the price of the TINC 4K. You have any idea what the home theater cost of stuff like that is? Hey, what's up, Monty? Real Phoenix just sent me the board that they were using. Wow, does look pretty close. Wow, this looks really close. And I have a flex cable that I could connect to that. That's pretty interesting. Huh. Wow. Well, heck, maybe I'm going to rebuild my own RAID server to this someday. I'll leave a link in the, let me leave a link in the description so people could actually see what I'm talking about here. Or not in the description, in the chat. That's really cool. I might seriously consider that, because... Huh. Yeah, I could just build an external hard drive enclosure and sit this on top of the hard drive enclosure, and there we go. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. I mean, Josh, flat panel versus LCD is CRT is a battle that could be waged all day long. You know, you could never truly recreate the randomness of a CRT, but the TINC 4K on an OLED with BFI running and some good CRT masks, nobody who's seen it in person has anything bad to say about it. So I am going to snap a quick picture of this orientation just in case. Oh, the motherboard has an M2 slot as well. That's interesting. So then, oh yeah, it does. So I could have the M2 drive be the cache drive for Unraid. Unraid boots off a USB. It looks like there's USB 3 and higher speed. There's 2 Ethernet ports. Yeah, I mean, this would work. The power port's right on the board as well, I think. Is that a power port on the lower left? I can't quite tell. If that's the case, I just wouldn't use the onboard power for this anyway. Wow, this might really be what I need. And then I would just need an external SATA card. Oh, that's some shit. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. And there we go, the old motherboard. Oh, I forgot this one had front USB ports just sitting there. That's pretty funny. Oh. Well, I'm really not sure what to do with this, so I'm going to put it aside, put it in an anti-static bag, and keep it for the rest of my life, saying that I shouldn't throw it out in case I need it. Any other idiots like me out there are going to do the exact same thing? Hey, Ori, thanks very much. Smasher, definitely OLEDs. It's no doubt. Plasmas are second best. OLEDs are without a doubt better, but plasmas are second best. They just really outperform everything. I've heard micro LED would be better for people who leave their PCs on all the time, because that way there's less chance of extreme burn-in. And it's potential to be brighter, but we'll see about that when the tests go out. So this was kind of the only pain in the ass I remember about these, is getting to the hard drive. You had to disassemble the entire computer. And nowadays with with SSDs, it's really not that big of a deal, because how often does an SSD really die? But this was back in mechanical hard drive days, so every couple of years you're probably going to end up replacing it. Do I have the right screwdriver for this? No. Not going to get lucky and have it be this exact size, am I? No, it's happened before, though. Tweezers. Last gen plasma with 2500? No, I seriously doubt that. Have you seen them both side by side? Plasma was amazing, but it definitely had some shortcomings to it. I still have one. I still use it in my living room. One of the funniest things is when I do Sunday football, when all the games are on, and I have a bunch of displays lined up next to each other, it is laughable how bad LCD is compared to plasma and OLED. So when the CRT's out, the CRT next to the OLED looks great. You know, no motion blur, good black levels and everything. It's not as sharp, and the geometry is obviously not even close to a flat panel. And the plasma absolutely holds its own against both. But every time the LCD is next to it, it just looks funny. So I always laughed at the LCD versus plasma wars. You know, for what, 10 years it lasted. I always got the impression that the people that said LCD looked better were people that bought them and just wanted to defend their purpose. Kind of like all the people that hate my guts because I lag tested that SCART to HDMI adapter. All right, what else we got? If I don't have the right thing. It's funny, in the old company we had all the tools just sitting there for all the parts that we would need. We had multiples of everything, so there was never fumbling around with pliers trying to get a nut off. There was just always, sounds like something Voltar would say in his streams. There was always just whatever you needed right there, 2 of them. All right, so my custom power cable, like all that tape it's covered in, and the custom power cable that powered this and the CD-ROM drive, the short SATA cable, that could all come out too. We're going to need these. And I'm going to leave the CD-ROM in just because why take it out, right? It's not hurting anything, and I don't want that to be exposed. I guess I could always ask Greg to print me out something like an insert, but it looks kind of neat. I'm going to leave it there. I'll be honest, I don't remember why the client needed CD-ROM for this. I would think that they didn't at all. Huh. I actually don't remember. My guess is we did something like design it in just in case, and also designed a metal spacer plate for it that screwed down and also grounded, assuming that they wouldn't want it, but showing the option. We did that stuff all the time, and most of the time it was a good idea. Sometimes it really just delayed product launches and it wasn't, but we'd show up at customers with like the craziest stuff, like touch slider volume controls. Today that doesn't mean anything, but back then that was kind of impressive. So it was, and the customers would love it, and none of them ordered it. They'd all be like, "Oh wow, that fully functional one is so cool. Like, could you leave that here? I could show. We could show the bosses." Yeah, great. Do you want it? No. There's no need for that. We just take the base model, but leave the cool one here. We want to show people. All right, that's the only one I'm going to make sure to tighten down because that's holding the CD-ROM in place. I want that coming loose and flapping around. All right. It could do 120 hertz? Holy crap. I never saw it. That's really impressive. All right, so let's take out some of the stuff in the kit here. We have the new board. This, I think, is going to be something that I enjoy very much. This is a USB hub that's been modified so that you could just plug these internal things right into it. So you could have your internal ports as well as hopefully have rear ports. And it also has a 4-port hub here. I don't know what the switch is for. Hopefully it's not one or the other, but we'll find out very shortly. I always check packing material because I very often, when I pack stuff for people, will put extra things in there. So I want to make sure I'm not losing something. Pretty sure I've done that on stream. All right, comes with adapter boards, screws and standoffs, always helpful. It comes with an actual user guide. That's great. Now I won't have to just DM the devs. How many times have I done that? Where I'm just in the middle of a live stream, like, I'll just message the dev like, "Hey, remember the thing you sent me? I'm live streaming it right now and don't know how to use it. You mind help?" Sorry, everybody. I don't mean to be a dick like that. It just happens. Most of these times I don't know I'm streaming until 5 minutes before I'm streaming too. Like today I was finishing up a video and I had to wait for something and I'm like, well, I'm not going to just do nothing for 2 hours. Let me do a live stream. All right, let me check out this manual here. So there's pages for power, which we don't need because we're going to power directly. Oh, they have full side-by-side kits as well. Wow, that's great. Let me see if I can refocus your camera, please. Maybe. That's the manual, and it's showing their side-by-side kit, which is so cool. I never liked the stack design ever, and I'm not being rude. Like I'm entitled to my opinion. Some people like country music. Some people like heavy metal. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But I never ever liked the double stacked. I always liked the Retro Castle single stack design, and I always wondered why people didn't do side by side like this. So that's actually really cool. I'm just trying to look for info on the USB hub. Here we go. Doesn't say anything about the switch though. I think the switch is for an external power supply. Yeah, okay. Hold on. I don't think it says directly. So we'll find out. We'll find out in a bit. So let's open this up and check placement. I also kind of wanted to see. So as much as I really like the Retro Castle case, I'm also very selfish. So mounting the Retro Castle case without the shell on it inside this and having all the functionality might be the route I take if it'll fit. That way I could keep the Saturn port. And the other thing, if I use this case, it has the OSD button on it. So I should be able to just solder this momentary push button switch to the OSD button. Huh. And it's got a power LED on here too. I would have to figure out which is which on that. But yeah, that would be kind of cool. So let's see about the fit. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to go in this way. So it would go in there, and that would require, if I go with the entire Retro Castle kit, that would put it over here, right underneath that, which, I don't know, might still be fine. I do also have a bare DE10 here. Let's see. So this is by far the easiest way. So if I just wanted to mount this here, that's all I would have to do. I would just have to add screws to the bottom of the DE10 and run HDMI out and then run the USB hub over here, and that's all I would have to do. And let's see, is there enough room to mount that? No, I wouldn't be able to mount it there, but might be able to mount it here. All right, I mean, that'll still work. I could still mount that there if I wanted to. So what do you all think? While I look for my other USB extension thingy, what do you all think? Do you think I should do the DE10 only, or do you think I should try to transplant the Retro Castle kit into this to retain S-Video? Or do I make this like an HDMI only dual RAM HDMI one? I don't know. What do you all think? I'm gonna go look for that part. Ha! I found the part. That never happens. How many people have watched my streams where I spend 10 minutes looking through boxes? So that would mount, that's gonna mount right here, and it's gonna expose 2 extra USB ports in the back, and then that's gonna just plug directly on top of the USB hub. So that is very funny that I found it so quickly. Kind of ridiculous. Also, these are the flex cables that I used to use. So if I do end up getting that board the Real Phoenix found, I would plug this in to the motherboard, and then the flex cable would come around here, and then that's how I would be able to use the PCI Express by 16 external SATA port, and have, or a SAS, maybe I'll get a SAS card or something like that. I don't know. I had one, but apparently it's the only SAS card that's known to have issues with Unraid, so I kind of did myself in with that one. Happy birthday, Shadow Mask. How's it going? Thank you for swinging by. I appreciate it. Extra awesome, amazing. How's it going? Yeah, so I definitely agree with, if you're looking for something today, get that Retro Castle case. It's amazing. That is not a dig against Mars at all. I bet you Mars is going to be amazing, but we haven't seen a prototype board. We're using all the cores yet. We're not sure what's going to be on launch date. And this is, to be very clear, not shit talking. I'm just very calmly being honest that it might take a while for Mars to get everything that you would want out of it. So if you're looking today for a kit, get the Retro Castle one, and you could always upgrade afterwards. And if not, then whatever. All good. The Retro Castle kits also have an HDMI only version, which is really cool because you save some money. So it's the same tiny little case with the USB hub built in. But if you don't know if you want dual or single RAM, if you don't know, I'm gonna take this off. If you don't know if you want analog outputs yet, you just buy that. You don't worry. I wonder what that bracket was. Maybe a spacer? I have no clue. All right, and I gotta take the feet off with a different screwdriver. Hey, Artemio, how's it going? Yeah, Dreamcast, if they could get that working, would be absolutely amazing. So I think Mars just has so much potential. It's just going to take time, right? I don't care how smart or how hardworking somebody is. You can't do all of this stuff in a short period of time. So it's sad that I always have to preface all of this stuff. Like, oh, I mean this is a compliment. Oh, you know, don't take offense, but just so many people just want to start trouble between groups. And it's like, Mars looks phenomenal, but there would be no Mars without MiSTer. So why would I be accidentally insulting MiSTer if I talk about how much I like Mars? Or how much Mars has potential. I don't get it. People love to be angry at things. I do not. I like to be jolly. All right. Pop the bottom off. I love this case though, this clear blue. That's why I put pictures of it in so many of my videos. All right, let me very carefully go put this somewhere because I don't want to scratch it. This case is beautiful. Even if I do end up leaving this Retro Castle IO board in here, I'm probably still going to use that for something else. So, whoa, fits kind of perfect, doesn't it? That's awesome. I guess it could fit here too if I wanted it to. I guess that could fit, and then where would I put the hub if I put that there? It's, and would I still be able to use that hub with the IO board? I guess we're gonna have to test that and find out. I think this bridge is only for USB data, not USB power. But we'll find out. I might not be able to use that USB thing at all. Or I might be able to, but I might have to plug a hub into a hub. So I might have to like modify the end of this to plug into one of these USB ports. But let's see what the mounting looks like on this. That could go there. And this would have the USB-C power, HDMI out, Sega Saturn out. The only thing it wouldn't have is Ethernet. However, for these, you all could laugh as hard as you'd like, by the way. I got giant ass antenna-based Bluetooth and Wi-Fi modules for that. Cactoid Pinata, you'll be familiar with them very, very, very soon. Hint, hint. But let me drop a link for you right here if you're interested in them. Yeah, so the ironclad ITX looked very cool, but that would be for somebody who already decided they want to go absolutely all in for that. Whereas the Atlantis, I mean, this was 14 bucks, not including the USB hub. So that's for people that want to just start out on a budget. Whoa, you have a brand new S-Video 21-inch PVM? That is so cool. If you want to use the MiSTer, just get one of these Retro Castle kits with the Saturn DIN built in, and then get a shielded Saturn cable. I have links to all of that stuff. And then, let me drop that link too. And then just use the code for the Mic S course, and that's it. Where should I put that? Yeah, it should be, there you go, 25 bucks. So I guess this is going to be another thing, is where could I hide these? I mean, I guess I could just put that right there. Would be a little weird, but it would work. I'm really just wondering what the metal is going to do on the inside. I'm almost wondering if I should use the ports back here for the antenna, just like the other one. In fact, now that I'm saying that out loud, that's definitely what I should do. Rather than encase it in metal from a case that was designed to not let EMI escape, I should treat it the same as the original and just use the back two ports I'm going to be mounting here for these two antenna-based things. All right, so then it's just a matter of where to mount this thing, which if I put this here, that should go there. Yeah, all right, I think that's it. So let's get cooking with this and see what we could do. Do any of these standoffs have the things on the other side? I also wonder what this is for. Is this supposed to be a spacer? Maybe that's going to be the better option. Maybe I put this spacer on the bottom? No, because then it would touch the pins and the SD card. So I would still need the actual metal spacers for it. All right, let me put this aside. I know I have a sack of spacers here. Let's see what I got. Let me put this other DE10 away as well so I don't end up losing it or something. Oh, you got a secondhand DE10 for a discount? That's awesome. Oh, Cactoid, I completely understand what you meant by that. If I said something off, please excuse me. It's because I'm paying attention to all the pretty electronics in front of me and the stream at the same time. I know I saved a sack of standoffs for exactly these situations. Yeah, all right. Let's see what we got. Does anybody need any DE10 cases? All right. Three, 4. All right. Let's see if these are going to be too high to fit. Well, Wobble, you have to put everything into context, right? If you watch that video that I did getting started with MiSTer in under 10 minutes, you could get a DE10 and a RAM stick and a USB hub and a controller for under $300 shipped to you. So that's a very fair price. And then when you consider these custom cases, these higher end I/O boards, this one's got the I2S module. I'll have more info on all this pretty soon. But if you consider all of that stuff as well, then you start to realize you're actually getting a lot for that 500 bucks. So am I still fitting even with these extensions? Just barely. Ah, geez, I wish I had shorter ones. Shit, maybe I do. Maybe I do. Let me try. Or if not shorter ones, maybe just some really long washers or something. Washers and some screws. You know, there's some longer screws here that they included with the kit. Those aren't washers, but let me try these screws. Will these fit? Not quite the same. Let's see, I gotta have more of this stuff around here. You know, one of the downsides of living in the city is there was no like Home Depot with a giant thing of screws and stuff that you could just go get. So whenever I needed parts, I would have to order from Amazon. So I ended up with tons and tons and tons of extra parts of stuff that I'll never need or use. Yeah, let me drop this link here. If you just watch the video that's on the top of this page, it really is that easy to build. Hybrid, I love that case. I think Todd did a beautiful job. I think it looks so cool, but the reason that the reason that the Retro Castle cases are my favorite is because of the quality of both audio and video output. Now, the digital side is obviously, you know, built into the cores, and the freaking amazing core developers are why they sound that good digitally. But audio and like analog audio and analog video, that's where you really start to see, how can I put this? The ridiculous amount of effort that Ivory put into those, the creator. I think we might be in luck. It's one of those times that having to buy a bunch of crap from Amazon may have actually paid off. Not the same threads. You bastard. Damn. All right, let's try screws and washers then. Damn. So close. M2.5 versus M3. Damn. Hey, what's up, Tech? Yeah, there was a Home Depot sort of near me too, but it's wildly different size than the ones you get in the burbs. The ones you get in the burbs are like the size of shopping malls because they're supposed to, you know, they're supposed to be the stores that carry everything for both do-it-yourselfers and, you know, local workers who are doing this stuff. The ones in the city, it's like, what sells enough that we could, you know, spend the $1 million a month in rent to stock these things? So, yeah, there was a Home Depot sort of kind of by me, a subway ride away, but it often wasn't very useful. I can't for the life of me figure out why I can't find just stacks of washers everywhere. I thought this is something that I would have had so many of. Let me try. I like the analog consoles as well. If you're somebody that really wants to use your original carts, can't really beat that. This is the kit for the candy cab coin button, that project that I absolutely loved that like nobody else gave a shit about. I even have all these extra things I've offered to people and they're like, that's really cool, but you know, I don't think I'd use it. I think me and Joe the Mid-Geek Crisis are the only people that got super excited about this. And everybody else is like, oh, neat. Alright, I did find some washers at least, though. Robin from the Candy Cab Coin Button. So, will these work? It's going to be tall enough. Yeah, that'll pass the micro SD card. So, all right. I have just screws. I think I might just have Phillips head screws that'll fit that as well. Yeah, perfect. All right, getting lucky. So my sack of DE10 parts ended up paying off after all. Yeah, the NFC stuff was so cool. That was just, what a neat thing that that they were coming up with. I also find it amusing how many times I accidentally said NFT instead of NFC. So people thought I was selling some kind of digital MiSTer crap. Sorry. Oh, don't tell me the washers are too thin for these screws. You son of a bitch. I gotta have washers elsewhere. I have to. There's no way I have all this stuff and don't have washers. These aren't washers, right? These are actual standard screws. Oh, what the hell? Sorry. Bob coin. Maybe these will work. Might be too big, but we'll see. We'll see. The screw should fit right through these. There's enough head on the side. Will they hit anything? No, all right. Well, we're going ghetto. We're using plastic nuts as washers. This is one of the moments Renee from DB Electronics would be like, you're going to use what? You know what? Fine. All right. Try that through that. Are the screws long enough? Famous last words. Yeah, so far so good. Slippery ass screws. All right, last two. So the good and bad news about this is it's going to be a pain in order to get to the micro SD card, except I use RetroNAS. So I would only need to access the micro SD for full system changes. Everything else I could just use over the network using Wizzo's remote app or any of those other very cool methods. All right, so let's tighten this down. Not too tight, but snug enough to not come out. That is very strong. So we should do some testing with this before I mount everything in, to check the USB hub and to check which pins on the OSD button I could tap for that front board. Let me just double check the fit before we go any further. That's kind of perfect. So mount that, mount the USB. You know, what's funny is I could probably mount the antennas here. So it would stick out kind of like that. I guess we'll see after we get it in. That would plug right there. Yeah, and then that would, okay, so that's all we gotta, the fit should be fine. We just have to test the functionality now. So let me grab PSU, and we'll start to see what happens. Yeah, that's an optical drive. I went into kind of long and very, very boring detail as to what all those were at the very beginning of this stream. If you're interested, I don't want to repeat again because it really has nothing to do with MiSTer. Sorry about that. I just don't want to waste everybody's time. Take care, Hybrid. Thank you very much for swinging by. All right, so let's plug HDMI in. And let me try USB hub. So what I'm hoping will happen is that all of the other functionality will still work. Like OSD still works, reset still works. Okay. We'll try the Saturn the Saturn output on that in a second. And that the only thing that won't work is the USB hub, which would be fine because this is the one that we were probably going to end up using anyway. All right, so that's connected there. So without the USB bridge, fan's still spinning, power's still running. We're not going to worry about snack USB ports. So let me just grab an S-video cable, because this would go up to my system that's got S-video, or my TV that's got S-video, and I will absolutely show this thing in its final form when I'm done. Just to double check though, I want to make sure I got audio and video running on this. Grab the RT4K. Actually, I'd probably be better if I didn't do that one. Let me put this back, grab something else. Nope, wrong box. Shit. Here we go. Think 2X Pro just for some quick S-video testing, and also I wanted to test which one of these to jump together. About these two, those two. Odd. The two on the two by the fan would definitely work, so that's where I would tap for that. All right, S-video to this. I want to make sure S-video and audio work just in case. Actually, this thing's working and powered on. Let me go right to the PVM up here. What are the dips for that? Totally forgot. I must not have the INI file set correctly. So let me just double check that real quick. Yeah, that's going to be a pain to get to that micro SD. So I want to make sure this is completely set up beforehand, and then I can just do everything else from Wizzo's app or something else. I don't have the network connection plugged in, so that's why I'm still using the micro SD. Would that fit in an NES shell? I have an empty one after doing a clear shell swap. It might. It might. You'd have to do a lot of cutting, though, which would be kind of a shame. All right, VGA mode. Okay, I had it all set wrong in the INI. Well, that makes sense. VGA mode S video. Pause sync 1. Direct video 0, because we're not doing direct video on this. All right, I set up a bunch of MiSTer INI files. Just in case I want to switch through the different types. So between that and network access through Wizzo's, I shouldn't have any issues in the future with this thing. Yeah, you know what else this thing could use? One of Greg from Laser Bear's micro SD extenders. I bet you I could just drill a hole right in the top. By the way, this is another reason a $14 board is so amazing. What if I wanted to run one of Greg's extenders over to here, but I have no place to mount it? Just drill a hole in the board. It's exactly what you would want for something like this. Okay. Let me try loading an arcade game and see what happens. I must have the dip switches wrong, so let me just... How am I getting this wrong? This is my S-video setup for a long time. One, 3, 4, I think it's supposed to be. One, 3, 4, and it's not working. What the fuck? Did I bend a pin or something? Is that... Well, my S-video seems to be fine. Let me double check on my RetroTink here. Yeah, not getting any signal. Huh. Try. This is very odd. I'm very sorry for the boring stream here, but this was my main S-Video machine up until last week when I erased the micro SD to do other testing. Put that in nice and snug. One, two, and four are on. I guess let me just check the micro SD again. Actually, let's see if I can get Wi-Fi, because then I could just use Wizzo's remote app to do it. Oh, geez. Okay. That's nice. Maybe I don't have the MiSTer remote script installed on this. So this is why I can't have nice things. I just, every single time I go to have a really good setup that's reliable, I have to change it to do something. Oh boy. All right, let's see what we got. All right, MiSTer INI file, VGA mode is S-Video as it should be. NTSC mode 0. Maybe composite sync should be 0? I don't think so. But oh, I know what this is. Oh, that's really funny. This has the internal converter in it, not the mic S cores. So I did have the MiSTer INI file set wrong. Well, you know, can't be a Bob stream without me screwing something up. All right, power off, power back on. Monitor's the right color. Okay. Let's put that in view. And make sure to test audio real quick as well. audio on that works. And what left? Absolutely perfect. Okay, so we know that this will work without the USB bridge connected and that the bridge only connects data, which is perfect for what we're looking to do. So I guess now we could test other USB related stuff. It's very funny to me too that like I'll help a friend design their retro gaming setup, and they'll get everything all set. They'll get their switches all configured, and they'll usually have a couple of tweaks. Like after a few weeks, like, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? And then I'll come back like a year and a half later, and it's exactly the way I left it. It's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. And I just like a part of me gets angry and jealous because I'm like, you know. Mine lasts about a week before I'm like, this was great. Now let me disassemble every single thing that I did to test the... So yeah, it's can be frustrating. All right, so I'm gonna see if I can get this sort of in view so that you could see the whole thing. So I'm gonna pull these out. We should be back at the main screen in a second. Yep. So the keyboard's working. So now I just want to test the USB ports. So it should be, if I'm remembering correctly, it should be this way. Here. It has been such a long time since I plugged in these individual USB header thingies. All right, let's try this. One. That worked. Two. Also worked. So that's all set. Let me try the bottom one. Where did that go? I believe this would go like that. And no? Nothing? Nothing? What about this one? Oh, well, that kind of stinks. No front USB? I don't understand why that wouldn't work. Let's just try the different header. Maybe that's it. No. Wow, that's so weird. That's a standard USB header. What the heck could I have been doing different here? I mean, that would really stink if I couldn't use that. That would kind of defeat the purpose of this whole project. Did I blow something out? Do I need to reboot? Uh-oh. When in doubt, reboot. I would feel very stupid if I blew out the USB port on the D10. No? All right, good. That's still working. So let me power off and just try again from complete power off. I have had it happen where if I hit the key on it, like hit the button on a USB thing before MiSTer is fully booted, that it does strange things, but I never had that happen, so that's all right. Yeah, you're probably right, Mike. What can you say? I like to live dangerous. Yeah, no, it works fine. All right, well, that would have put a serious damper in this whole project if I couldn't use the front USB ports, but I can. I just want to double check that this port is also working. Yeah. All right. So we're good. Let me just mount that then. We could start assembling. And we could all take bets as to how long I leave this setup the way it is before I completely change it for some reason that makes no sense whatsoever. All right, get some screws. Everything's still in sort of view. Yeah, good enough, I think. Yeah. Still wonder what I should do with it, if I should use this for anything. Oh, you know what this would have been for? I'm just realizing now. If you wanted a fan on your DE10, you could mount this here and then mount a fan in there. That's what this piece was for. Let me grab the DE10 just to show people. I guess to show people and also to verify that I'm not just being crazy, but yeah. So that would allow you, what is it this way or is it this way? That should allow a fan to be mounted here, I think. I think that's what this bracket is. Come on, focus. There we go. I was wondering what that was for. So then you could just get like any kind of fan, even if it sits on top and not below. And that way you could have that mounted there. That's cool. That's a good idea. I like that. But we are going to use this for screws and nuts. Use the right size, or am I going to screw it up like I did before? I might have to find other nuts and bolts for this. This is a little... Will this one just go in? Yeah, they're plastic screws and nuts, and I guess that's because you don't want to put metal screws through the plastic, because that could kind of mess with things. These the same size though. Yeah. Well, let's see what we could do. And one more. All right. Almost got it there. Use this to hold it in place, the other one to tighten it down. Beautiful. I'm very purposely using the thin pliers because I don't want to over tighten. I don't want to use like this giant screwdriver with some big pliers and then just snap everything right in it. Do want to make sure it doesn't back itself out. So just a nice little other turn in there. Nice and solid. All right, so we have that all assembled and in. Let me put these screws back in the bag, otherwise I'm most certainly going to lose them all. In fact, I'm going to dump these all together. So I don't... Here, let me do this. I don't want to lose this stuff because you know I'm going to have to come back and redo this at some point. Beautiful. Atlantis. I like to be tidy. That's probably the single most boring thing you could even think about on stream, but it's so easy to lose all of this stuff. I'd rather pack something up a little too early and not lose it. All right, I'll save that for the retro castle cases. Let's see what we got here. I was gonna see, can I leave the fan in? Is that gonna touch anything? I'm not gonna plug it in, and there's already a fan on this, but yeah, all right, that's not gonna touch anything. So I'm just gonna leave that in, and I'm gonna use a little zip tie just to keep this out of the way. Right. Grab the case. So Mike, these are whatever you want it to be. I asked for the most basic thing possible, knowing that I'm really going to be just utilizing my Retro Castle I/O board with the I2S module and the converter built in. And I didn't really want anything else other than the internal USB hub. So you could order it like this, or you could order it completely and fully loaded, and that's totally up to you. The prices start at $14, which is why I'm so excited for these. I love cheap options for people. You don't always need every crazy option. Sometimes you just want to get started with more than just a bare DE10. All right, All right. This could go over here because it's longer. Should be able to just fit that right there. We still have to figure out the power button and the LED, but we could do that in a second. And then this would go here, and that would be this, and where's those other pliers? Oh, no need. Perfect. So, a couple more testings. This is absolutely perfect. Everything will fit. There's more than enough room for the S-Video jack. Power is going to fit. If I want HDMI out as well, that's fine. I have 2 more easily accessible USB ports up here. The front USB ports we've tested and are going to work. I need to figure out the LED and the power, because power I'm actually going to be using for OSD, and I'll just have this thing always on. Because I actually have it hooked up to a system that's not plugged in unless you're using it. So this is one of the rare moments that an always-on MiSTer is totally fine. Those usually drive me crazy. But one last form and functionality test here. Absolutely nothing is getting in the way. The fan is sort of pushing down on top of the USB ports, but not in a way where it's going to really hurt it. I don't know if you could see that or not. But there's nothing else in its way. There's nothing shorted. One USB port's kind of not really that accessible, but that's fine. Actually, that fan's cutting it a little too close. Let me take that out. Let me take that out. Yeah, I think the people who designed the Atlantis were thinking the exact same thing I'm thinking of. Like, you know, what if you have a couple of really cool MiniITX cases? What if you don't have the money for a full kit? Or what if you do, but you really just, like, what if you're building MiSTer for mostly retro PC usage, right? Maybe you wouldn't want a little case. Maybe you would want a computer looking thing. So they also have different modules you could buy to add an ATX power supply. It's a bunch of really cool things. Definitely check out the link if you're interested. It's obviously in the description. So, all right, so we're removing that. I'm gonna put the screws back where I found them so I don't lose those. There's zero chance I would remember what screws I used in these 20 years ago or whatever it was. By the way, do you like our isolation pad? We had, since the one of the main PCI cards was here and it was very big, it would push up against the top and there was nothing on it that would short. So in all of our testing, it was never a problem, but before we went into production, we said, you know what, let's put like a thermal pad type of thing there. Just as like one extra isolation from anything arcing, just in case. And it worked. It was going to work fine. Tape would have worked fine too, but showing you an old prototype of something I designed almost 20 years ago with a piece of tape on it is fun. Showing you a production sample of something with a piece of tape on it is not. All right, so all together, nothing is touching at all. Everything is totally cool. Yeah, all right, this is good. So we just have to do power and OSD, and then I'm going to have a very ridiculous MiSTer case. Very ridiculous and perfect. All right. So, you have to love my my wad of tape here. My 20-year-old wad of tape for when I actually, this was probably 10 years ago that I swapped the motherboard out. So that would make sense. Didn't exactly do the best job soldering, did you, Bob? What a shock. I know Voltar would vehemently disagree with me on this, but I just never put too much effort into one-off prototypes that I knew would never see the light of day outside weird stuff like this. So covering something in tape and, you know, not the best solder job, I just didn't care. Because it would never hit production, it would never hit a customer, no one would ever see it. So if it worked, it worked. That's a Raspberry Pi mount, Stephen? That's even cooler. Thank you for correcting me on that. Oh wait, that's right. So you, instead of I/O board MiSTer, you could actually have dual Raspberry Pi and MiSTer in the same case. I think, but there's no way to link them. It would be like those VHS DVD combo units that each have their own discrete outputs. Which I'm not shitting on the idea, by the way. That's still a great idea. It's just, you know, just being realistic. All right, so I'm trying for... So a couple of things. With the case on, that's going to probably stick out too much. What if I try it here? Yeah, maybe it's better. Maybe it's better to just leave these like that. Even if I put it sideways or something. Yeah, maybe that's a little more discreet. Yeah, that's probably better. I still have 2 USB ports in the front, and if I ever needed to do something else, I could always just use a USB extension in back or plug something in here. But between Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and the 2 network ports in front, I don't think I'm going to need it. The one thing I might want to do is drill some holes and mount a network jack extender here. But this isn't going to be used or near a network, so... All right, now we just got to find out which one's the momentary push button. Anybody see my multimeter? Oh, here it is. So all I'm going to be doing now is plugging this wiring harness in and seeing which colors represent the momentary push button switch. And then we're going to have to take a guess on the LED and see if... this might be the LED that's already blown out, actually. So we'll... if that's the case, I might not even bother adding an LED. Actually, I could find that out super, super quick. So this one already has a blown out LED. We could test anyway just for shits and giggles, but that also is making me less nervous just hooking power and ground up and just guessing, because if it's already blown out, it's not going to make a difference anyway. So let's try black and green here. I wish I had somebody else here to press the button while I tested. Well, that was a lucky first guess, wasn't it? Black and green, that's what we need. Black and green are the momentary push button, and we'll try the other two for power just to see. I could swear I have USB power breakouts somewhere too. And just try looking for that real quick. Yeah, I could hack one of those up. Let's see what I got. I have the weirdest stuff. I wish I knew somebody who was like opening up a computer fix-it shop or something. I would just drop all of this stuff off and just say, just trust me. And I guarantee, like, every couple of months I would get a text from them like, you have no idea the weird crap I just used that you gave me like 6 months ago that I thought I was going to throw out and never use. Like, I guarantee there's going to be something like that. I could swear I had a couple of like USB on one end and it just broke out power and ground on the other. Ha! Found it. I knew it. I knew it. Here we go. So let me plug this in and just test, double check power. 20 volts. We plug in HDMI 2 just so we could make sure everything boots properly. That works, so let me spin this around and see if we get power. All right, let's try. Hey, how about that? It works. Well, shit. We're even gonna get a power LED out of this. That was not at all what I expected to happen, but I am pleased. It would be cool to have an ATX, RetroNAS and MiSTer in the same case. That's a pretty neat idea. That's a very neat idea. RS, I mean, they have options for that, but if you just want HDMI out, why would you really even need one? I'm using the Retro Castle kit here because the audio is amazing, the video is spot on, and it also has S-Video, which is going to be very, very handy. All right. So I could just use this right off the hub. That's fine there. I think I'm going to get some wire and some heat shrink tubing as well, just to make sure everything. I don't need this to be a pro mod, but I would just feel like the dumbest moron on the planet if one day I turn it on and I fried everything because I did a half-ass solder job here and ground and power ended up shorting. So it's gonna be big enough. Yeah, that'll work. Gonna need some extra wire too. Should have a couple spools right here as well. Perfect. All right. Get this thing done. Let me grab a plastic bag for the retro castle stuff. I don't want to lose these because at some point I'm probably gonna swap this kit out for something else. Or if for whatever reason this specific kit needed dual RAM, I could always take the I/O board off. I don't know. There's a million options for this thing. So, all right, retro castle stuff has been saved. Let me move that out the way. Momentary push button, doesn't matter what which is which, so I'm just going to use the same color. And I'm going to give it some slack here, just so I don't... I'd rather have too many wires floating around in here than have to tug on something and end up loosening it up. It's not like we're going to have heat issues in this thing. Yeah, Dr. Droop, they Atlantis has options for that, and I believe Ironclad is another brand of MiSTer MiniITX board that would do it. I think both would be excellent choices. I just like the price on this one. I just think that's really awesome. Right. All right, now to show off my master level audio soldering skills. I wish Voltar was here for that. He would get a kick out of that. All right. So I don't need these anymore. Just trying to tin the edges of these. You know, I gotta stop pretending that I'm still young. I am not at all. Old and beat up. So, time for my glasses. Welcome to your 40s. Everything dies. Tinning the edges. Should probably add a little more solder down there, actually. All nice and solid. Also nice and solid. Now let's just put a giant thing of hot glue. No, I'm kidding. Kidding. Should just need a few pieces of this. All right. I gotta get another one of those alien-looking, robot-looking clip things to hold my wires together. I have no idea what happened to mine over the years. Oh, there we go. That's a little creative. All right. One. All right, let's try this sucker out. Besides, I gotta take a break. Those glasses make me dizzy. Oh, I yanked it off. What a moron. Okay, let's one more time. Forgot to unclip it from my little spot. Huh, something's up with this. Am I not stripping enough from the... me try that again. Maybe I just need to restrip that. I think there was just oxidation on the old solder that was there. I just flooded it with new stuff, and this should be a more solid connection. Also, please remember, the goal of this isn't to make this a permanent installation for the rest of its life. This is to hold me off until I come up with another stupid idea to transform this case into. All right, let's plug this sucker in and see if I did it right. And we're just onto the LED light, and then we're done. Okay, I/O button on the inside, button on the outside. Yeah, that's some buttoning right there. And both the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth were detected. This is cool. All right, so let's pull the plug and let's heat shrink tube, add the LED lights, and hopefully that means we're just done. Now, once again, this is not trying to be the world's best solder job here. I'm not going to take out my hot air gun. I'm just going to heat it up with a stupid soldering iron. I'm positive there's going to be people watching this that think I'm stupid, but that's totally fine. If this was a console mod or a permanent thing or a fix for something that was broken, I would be using much more scientific methods, but this isn't. This is just keep it working until I change it to something else. Okay, good. Now let's just get these power ones modded. I'll take that. So you probably can't, let me see if I could get this in focus. I don't know who added this. It might have been me a long time ago, but the wires coming out of here are black and white, but I put little additions on for red and black to prove power orientation. So I must have used that a long time ago, plugged it into something, shorted something out, and then realized, oh, the colors are backwards from the factory. Let me put new ones on, or let me swap colors just so I don't make this mistake again, or something like that. All right. Yeah, same thing on this one. It must have just been old wiring that got oxidized. But just using some heat and some patience. Sorry if this is off camera, but I just got the perfect angle for that one. So I was like, take it, take it. All right. Let us very carefully plug this in. See what we got. All right, final test. Yeah, everything works. So let me bolt this thing together, and then I will show you all its final form. All right, put that away. Oh, it's perfect timing. I gotta get out of here in like a couple minutes anyway. So I'm just gonna do the same cheesy ass heat shrink tubing trick over here. Because once again, this is not supposed to be the end all be all of mods. This is just supposed to make sure nothing shorts and that I'm good to go for short-term use. I've seen people do mods where they get everything way better than me. I mean, really just clean solder joints. Everything looks like a work of art. And then I see them with a hot air gun and just with it for the heat shrink tubing. And it's like, do you know what you're doing to the rest of the stuff inside of that thing? So, all right. There was one other tricky thing about reassembling this case that I definitely remember, and I think it's going to be much easier using these, but I will demonstrate about 20 seconds. All right. So this screw gets in the way of the case. So depending on what you had in this slot, it was either just a massive pain or very easy. So when we were using the cable card tuners, I would just grab onto the coax here and hold it in place. Not a big deal. But certain other things that I was using was a big deal and totally sucked. So and same thing, because I have the antenna here, I'm just going to kind of put some pressure. Yeah. Fit in there. Perfect. Am I good on the bottom side? No. There we go. And last one over here. All right, so let's see what we got. And if you've stuck around this far, try to stay for another couple of minutes because I'm going to show you the full thing. A little bit of a wiggly cam here for 1 second. Let me get that out of the way. All right, so in back, here's how I'm going to have this. So the antennas are going to be here, kind of out of the way, but they're still going to be in back, so the metal shielded case isn't going to mess with anything. The retro castle case, I should have more than enough space to plug that S-video jack into it. I'm not using the other power thing that I had. I'm not really using anything else. Sad that I thought it was okay to hack those holes into this. The origin of my no-cut mod days. And in front, functional USB ports, and this is the OSD button. So let's power it up here just to do one last test before I wheel the other thing over. Power LED comes on. MiSTer is loaded. OSD button. Yeah. All right, let me wheel this sucker over and you can tell me what you think of this setup. I haven't found a way to mount this computer yet, but here's where it's going to be. I gotta go all the way around the room to get around the wires, so excuse me a moment. All right. Let me pull this back. All right, so we have a consumer CRT Tatate. I have this piece of cardboard, just this cardboard roller tube that came with something that I spray painted black. That keeps it from wiggling this way. You can wiggle it back the other way, but obviously all the weight's in the glass, so that's not too big of a deal. And since this is on wheels, it's only ever being used when it's plugged in, which is why I don't have a problem with there not being any kind of power button. I think this could sit. I could unplug the HDMI port now and I could probably sit this side alongside it for now. Yeah. Shit. All right. Will it fit? All right. That's a look. I'll admit. I'll show you that in a second. But let's get the S-video and stereo audio plugged in and go from there. Actually, let me get that plugged in first. One of these days, if I ever catch up and have time, this and at least one other consumer CRT, I want to do a couple of live streams where I create cap kits and then recap and then RGB mod them. But I want to try a different kind of mod where I add a SCART connector, but you flip a switch so it's either RGB or composite. And that way you could use sync-on composite RGB cables. So if you want, you could use your CRT in original composite mode or in RGB just by flipping a switch, assuming you have sync-on composite cables. I think that would be a really cool experiment. I'm not gonna lie, I panicked a little bit when I didn't see anything on the screen until I realized you don't have it turned on. I'm going to be plugging this wireless receiver transmitter for my wireless keyboard right into the front. By the way, these, if I just run update all, that'll fix that. That was just from something else. I think I gotta map the buttons first. One player shot one. One player shot one. Oh, it did. Let me reboot. I don't get it. It's probably not the right thing to show then. I thought I had that already fixed up anyway. Well, you all get the idea. I could fix that button mapping later. However, let me show you. Oh, does this actually work? So that's where it's going to sit for now. I want to try to find some creative way to add like a shelf to this thing so it just sits facing forward. But this is fine for now. But I do want to display it at some point just because I think it's very neat to have my old case that I designed on this thing. If I want to bring up the OSD, that still works. Some discoloration here, so I don't know what magnetic field I'm near, but I'm gonna have to rerun that degaussing wand. Does it move? Odd. I wonder what's over there that's messing with it. Well, either way, S-video into this thing via the Retro Castle case, via my old case. I think this is great. Starius there is on some cores, but not all. And since I reformatted this SD card, I don't have my full Tate set up yet. But yeah, this is great. I'm loving this. This is exactly what I hoped for. Well, anybody have any questions or anything before I take off? I'm going to straighten up a tiny bit, and then that's basically it. Let me switch the power over to here. That's about it, though. Just a little like cleanup. Thank you very much for coming by, Grandpa. This is the stuff I do the very few times I have free time. This is what I would do anyway. So the fact that I get to hang out with a bunch of awesome people while I do it, I never ever take for granted. You're all very cool, and I really appreciate you. All right, that's all wired directly in. And it looks like most of the discoloration went away, so I bet you it was just near something over there that was messing with it. I love that the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi still work, so I'm just going to run update all now. Cool. Well, I guess that's everything. Reasonably British. Hello. Of course. Everybody who makes good content gets shout-outs whenever my old tired brain remembers. Keep up the good work. I'm going to reach out to you at some point because I've nailed it down to that capture card that we both tested, the IO data. That is really good for the money, but you nailed it in your video. And please check out Reasonably British's channel if you want some capture info. But you nailed it about the time-based correction, and that's the thing I'm still trying to nail, because I had a couple of friends offer to send me their very rare and, you know, used to be multi-$1,000 rack-mounted TBCs, and while those are great, and I'm sure they would run perfectly, the goal of all of these is, for all of the streams that I've been doing, is to try to find a way to do stuff today. So you could buy that IO data capture card right now from Amazon. You cannot buy these time-based correctors, and I certainly would never tell anybody to buy one of those disgustingly expensive data videos that aren't even the best time-based corrector. So, yeah, it's something I want to keep looking into. So feel free to reach out if you have if you find anything or want me to cover anything. I'd be happy to work with you on something like that. But yeah, all right. Well, you're all awesome. Thank you all so much. Happy Friday, and I got a whole bunch of stuff I gotta continue working on, so I'm gonna go do that.